Hello beautiful people, how's everybody doing? So today we're going to talk about the upcoming full moon in Sagittarius. For some of us this is going to take place on June 3rd, but for majority it will take place on June 4th, and it will happen on a 13 degrees and 18 minutes of Sagittarius. So today, on the day I'm recording this video, is May 29th. I'm just about to make my way to the airport to fly over to see my family in Slovakia, which I believe is quite symbolic that it's coming to the full moon in Sagittarius. And I'm going back home, and I haven't seen my family for like 7 months now. So anyway, let's just get down to it. So I released a video which was talking about the energies of past week. Majority of those were squares, and actually the square that took place yesterday, which was Sunday, May 28th, that was a square between Saturn and Sun. This square will still be active during the time of the full moon. So Saturn will be creating a T-square to the full moon. So the moon and the sun are in opposition during the full moon, and the Saturn is making square to the both. So this is still active, and actually between now, the day I'm recording this, and the day of the full moon itself, we'll have the Jupiter and North Node conjunction, and also Venus trine to Neptune. These are all fairly positive aspects. I mean, conjunction is not positive or negative. It's a closing of one cycle and beginning of another, and trine between Venus and Neptune is very harmonious aspect. So actually, something that I would like to bring to everybody's attention is a video that I watched today. It's a video from my teacher, Simon, and it was talking about the relationship between Jupiter and Saturn, and he was especially focusing on the conjunction that happened on the 21st of December 2020, and I would really recommend people to have a look at this video because it would give a deeper understanding to what we are going through collectively and individually with regards to actually these themes that we are experiencing at the moment. So I don't want to go too deep into this theme because I would like to listen to it from Simon, who created the video, and he's a genius. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he highlighted two very important things, which are actually very important things to mention for this full moon in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So actually the ruler of this full moon, Jupiter, it's in Taurus, and the conjunction between Jupiter and North Node that will take place on June 1st is actually happening exactly in the same place Uranus was during the time of the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction that took place on the 21st of December 2020, which happened on a 0 degrees of Aquarius, which is exactly where Pluto is at the moment. And at the time, Uranus was squaring that conjunction. And at the time of this full moon in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, so Jupiter plays a very important role in this full moon. We have Jupiter conjuncting North Node. I mean, the conjunction already happened 2-3 days prior to this full moon. It happened on June 1st. But it's still valid. It's just a new phase instead of a balsamic phase. And the North Node is sitting exactly on the same point, that the conjunction happened exactly on the same point when Uranus was at the time of this great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter that happened on 21st of December 2020. And why is this important? I'm just going to mention quickly what Simon said in his video, but as I said, to get a full picture, it's best to go back to that video and actually listen to his deeper analysis of what's been going on in the collective from that point until now. It's that conjunction, it's a culmination of energy because something is ending, something new is beginning. So something that got planted at that time on 21st of December 2020, it's actually, because Pluto is now sitting on that point, it's really being activated. And this is something that I've been discussing, that even these the eclipses, the eclipse season, and the new moons, the new moon that happened in Aries, we had 2 of those, the new moon that happened in Taurus, this is the activation time. And I mean, at the time when this conjunction happened, I didn't know anything about evolutionary astrology, so that's why this is something that I wasn't aware of, but I just found out myself by watching my teacher's video. And this is a very important thing to consider because full moon usually requires integration. So it's when the sun is 180 degrees. Sun and moon are 180 degrees apart. So the process of going through the first 6 houses from Aries to Virgo, end of Virgo until Libra has happened. So this is the process where we're learning and we are kind of digesting certain information, something new that has been seeded, and then it's ready to sprout. It's ready to go out there and to be integrated into the society. So this full moon is an integration of energies. Actually, short time is an energy that has been planted during the new moon in Sagittarius that happened in December, and now something is coming, kind of, there is a more clarity, a light is shining onto this theme, but this is part of a much bigger cycle, which is the cycle that started on the 21st of December 2020, when Saturn and Jupiter made this conjunction in Aquarius on 0 degrees, which is where Pluto is sitting at the moment. So what got activated is this complete paradigm shift and pretty much the dissolvement of the structure that we are experiencing at the moment, which is reflecting by Saturn being in a sign of Pisces, and Jupiter already gone through the sign of Pisces, already gone through the sign of Aries, which was gathering the new ideas, starting the new cycle, and now it's in the sign of Taurus. So actually Jupiter is coming into the sextile with Saturn. It hasn't happened yet. It will happen after this full moon, but Jupiter during this full moon is already within the degree that we can consider as sextile to Saturn. So this is how this cycle is evolving, and sextile, as Simon mentioned in his video, this is actually the crescent phase, the crescent moon. You could look at it from that point of view, and this is a yin energy, so it's a Taurian energy, so it's where things are being internalized, so we're feeling into it, we're feeling into, in this case, because it's a Jupiter, it's our perception of reality, our viewpoint, our philosophy, our cosmology, and funnily enough, Jupiter is actually in the sign of Taurus. So this is just confirming then, and as I mentioned, Jupiter and North Node just made a conjunction a short while before this full moon take place, and this is again, North Node is our evolutionary potential. North Node being in Taurus is teaching us about the self, is about our self-reliance, self-sufficiency, self-love, self-worth, our ability to survive, thrive, and take care of our needs. And now Jupiter making a conjunction with North Node, something with regards to our belief about this topic has come to the end, come to the close, and something new has started, a new cycle has started. And interestingly enough, this is the point, as I mentioned, which I found out from this video I watched. I put the link below, guys, so check it out so you get more detailed information with regards to this topic. This is where Uranus sat in 2020, so this is necessary for the point of liberation, individuation, for freeing ourselves from everything that is outdated, everything that no longer serves us. Uranus, as we can see, the natural zodiac, so we have a Capricorn, which is the structure, something that keeps us feel safe and secure. We have an understanding how things work. There are certain policies in place, certain definition of reality, and then Uranus comes, Aquarius comes and goes, okay, well, this is outdated, let's get rid of that's outdated, and then it goes through the, dissolvement, Pisces, and then a new cycle will begin. So now we have a new cycle between the North Node in Taurus and Jupiter taking place by the time of this full moon, and this means that there is a brand new cycle starting for us with regards to our belief system when it comes to the Taurian topics, which is the survival, self-sufficiency, self-reliance, self-value, self-worth, self-love, all these kind of things. So at the same time, Pluto, as we are aware, is still squaring nodes, so this is nothing new, nothing has changed with this regard. As I mentioned, the square between Saturn and Sun and the Moon is still active. So Saturn, who was part of that conjunction in 2020, and Saturn being in Pisces, things are being dissolved, and this is telling us again about the old structures that no longer have a meaning or no longer have the ability to keep us feel safe and secure and don't actually make much sense anymore. And that's why this paradigm shift is needed, where the entire outlook of life and how we living on this planet and how things are and who actually is the authority, everything is shifting. And with Uranus being involved, it's important to actually acknowledge that we are our own authority. We people have the power, but the important point is to realize your own worth, realize your own value, and understand that actually you have the right to make your own choices and decisions. Of course, everything has consequences, and that's what Saturn represents, is the emotional maturity. So every action has a reaction, everything's got consequences, so it's about responsibility. But the important aspect is to acknowledge that we have the power, that we actually inherently we are free. We were born free. Just based on our conditioning during childhood, we started to see limitations and restrictions, and that's why we go through the Saturn cycles, the Saturn return when we're 28, and that's the point of 28, 29. That's where is the point of the maturation. So what else is going on during this full moon? So actually only, I believe, a day after, Mercury will conjunct Uranus. So again, this is very important because Mercury at the moment is the ruler of the sun. This is a full moon, so it includes sun and the moon, even though the actual full moon is ruled by Jupiter because moon is the highlight. But the ruler of sun is Mercury, and literally a few hours after, if this is happening for you, if you are in Europe, like myself, for example, and this is happening for you in the early morning of the June 4th, the conjunction between Mercury and Uranus will take place the same day, later on in a day. And this is very important because, again, this is telling us about closing a cycle between Mercury and Uranus with regards to Taurian values, how we identify, how are we thinking about this, our ability to take care of ourselves, to be able to gather what we need, to have our needs met. All these things, how we thinking about it, how we identifying it, how we gathering information, our perception of these topics, that is all coming to the close with regards to Uranus. So that which we were thinking before, probably which wasn't fully authentic to us and maybe didn't allow us to be individuated and show up in the world as who we are, this is coming to the end. So there will be a new cycle beginning between Mercury and Uranus, which will be giving us an opportunity to think about things from a different point of view, from a different perception. And this is supporting our evolutionary process, North Node still in the sign of Taurus, to help us to set ourselves free in a sense, but we can't do it if we don't believe in ourselves and our ability to take care of ourselves, because nobody is going to do it for us. Like, yeah, of course, we are all interdependent because we're social creatures, but at the end of the day, you are your resource. If somebody takes everything you have away from you, you still have everything you need to recreate it, because you have your body, you have your soul, well, your spirit, your spiritual guidance, you have your mind, all your knowledge, all your skills, everything you've ever accumulated, you will still have. You will just not have these external material things. And that's why this paradigm shift is absolutely necessary, where instead of externalizing the power, we will internalize our power. And that's what Pluto is helping us to achieve. That's why Pluto is actually on this point forever, on this point of 0 degrees, which is the sensitive point of the conjunction. It's been sitting here for forever. And I mean, it's going to move into Capricorn shortly after, on June 11th, the same day as Mercury is moving into Gemini. And Pluto is telling us that freedom is absolutely there, but what are we prepared to do in order to go after it, right? So anyway, in other things that's happening, we have a supportive aspect from Mars. So Mars is making a trine to Moon, so actually to this full moon. At the same time, of course, is sextiling Sun, and this is a very positive aspect. So because Mars currently is in the sign of Leo, so it's actually ruled by the Sun, as we've spoken about. And this is very positive because Mars just wants to go already. It wants to start this new cycle where we can self-actualize, where we can actually show the world who we really are, like be authentic and just do what we really enjoy, which I know that it sounds easier than it's done. But if people start really acknowledging what is important to them and what can they do to at least start actualizing that in their everyday reality. Like, okay, maybe you cannot go and dump your everyday job and just go and sing all day or something, but just starting to slowly implement these aspects of your life that are maybe not happening at the moment but are important to you, because Leo requires us to take care of the inner child. So it's not all about just working hard and, like there is no fun. It's just like, grudge, like work, like life is heavy and all that. Because this energy is a mutable energy, because Sun is in Gemini, Moon at the time is in Sagittarius, and these are mutable energies. So again, they require us to look at how to be more flexible, how to be more open-minded, perhaps see the reality from different point of view, like Jupiter, like gather information. Mercury, which what Sun is highlighting, we need to gather new information. There is all this duality, everything is true, everything is lie at the same time. It depends on your point of view and on your personal experience. And even with the Moon being in a sign of Gemini, Moon being in a sign of Sagittarius, it wants to expand. It wants to go out there and like, what else is out there? What is beyond the horizon? Like, what other options are there? Like, it wants to feel hope and inspiration, and it wants to feel that there is a possibility to make the dreams come true. Because in a traditional astrology, this is for me because I have Sagittarius in a whole sign system in the 11th house, but the 11th house represents the fulfillment of wishes, dreams, and hopes. And actually, that's the Aquarius house, which is about the liberation. So this is how we feel free. And Uranus, like I said, was in the same place as this conjunction happened. This conjunction between Jupiter and North Node happening on the June 1st, exactly on the same degree. So Jupiter in Taurus, it wants to help us to find the abundance. It wants to help us to change our point of view of reality, our perception of reality, our belief system, our belief structure, to actually understand that we are creators, we are manifestors, we have everything we need. And if we don't, with the Sun in Gemini, we can go and find it. We can go and research the information. We can learn it. If we need new skills, if we need new knowledge, everything is available. Like, internet makes everything available and accessible. It's just having the discernment of understanding what is relevant to us. And the only way we're going to figure that out is through this inner dialogue. Mercury is still in the sign of Taurus. So like connecting to oneself, having the inner dialogue. And as I mentioned, Venus only, I believe it's only a day before, on a June 2nd, Venus is making trine to Neptune. So Venus is in a sign of Cancer. So as I said in my video that I released yesterday about the energies of the past week, Venus is going through this process of trying to find a way to make herself feel emotionally self-reliant, emotionally safe and secure. Taurus is about material self-reliance and self-sufficiency and feeling secure materially. Like, do I have what I need? Do I have my food? Do I have my shelter? Do I have my clothes? Do I have these things that I need? But Cancer is about the emotional aspect of that. Do I feel safe? Do I feel secure? Do I feel that I'm dependent on someone else to feel happy or something? And Venus making a trine to Neptune, and Neptune is currently and still for upcoming 3 years in a sign of Pisces. It's to understand what no longer has a meaning. Does this have a meaning for me? Does this still make me feel safe and secure or not? And if not, then maybe it needs to be let go and replaced by something else. And as I said, Saturn making the T-square to this full moon, it's all about understanding which aspect of the old world, of the old structure, of the old sense of safety and security is working and which one isn't. So we can free ourselves and this need for expansion, because Saturn making the square to the moon, this is a closing square between moon and Saturn, and also Saturn making a closing square to the sun in Gemini, because Pisces and Gemini. So from each end, this is about liberation. This is about I want to expand, but I still feel limited. I still feel restricted. So square, as I mentioned in my video yesterday about the squares, it requires us to take action, to change something, to do something. But because this is a square in consciousness, it's about switching something within our perception of reality. It's not just to act, to do something, but also to shift our paradigm, our way of looking at things. And I feel that this full moon, it's an integration of something that potentially was seeded for most of us in December, coming up holidays and all that. So, December usually for people in Northern Hemisphere is not a great time because the weather is not great. And people kind of coming towards the end of the year start having like ideas about, okay, well, how was this year for me? What do I want to let go of? What do I want to bring into my next year? Kind of having all these intentions for the new year, New Year's resolutions, right? So whatever that was that you were seeding in December, how is that looking up for you now? Like when you look back 6 months, like in December, and were you able to like come up with what it is that you actually want? Are you able to change maybe something in your life with regards to those seeds that you planted back in December? And this will be to do with our look at the world, our perception of reality, the lens through which we perceive what's going on in the world. So what was going on in December, and perhaps is this which was going on in December, did that somehow change what we believe, our truth, how we identify the world we are living in, or things shifted. Maybe the things that we believed back then, or we were attached to, maybe we don't believe it anymore. We are not attached to anymore because these 6 months has passed, this 180 degrees between sun and the moon, and now suddenly we have much more clarity because the sun is shining on it. So now we are able to go out there and make changes because it's going from the yin energy into the yang energy, where, okay, now I have the inner understanding, and now I can go out there and do what needs to be done. And as I said, with Mars making a trine to this new moon, is all about action. But within the big cycle between Saturn and Jupiter is in a Taurian phase, in a crescent phase. So this is still, like trying to embody the new energy, trying to like tap into it and like, okay, well, like it's like taking roots. We put the seeds out there, and before they become strong and sprout, and then whatever comes when they get on the surface of the earth, like they making these strong roots, like the thing is being rooted like strongly in the ground. And what else is going on? So we have actually the very interesting things that starting to come into action. So as I mentioned in my few previous videos on Instagram, Venus will be moving into the sign of Leo on June 5th. And but already during this full moon, Venus is already in opposition, out of sign opposition, just like Mars was last month. Venus is in an out of sign opposition with Pluto. So actually Venus is becoming part of this grand fixed cross, because slowly Mars is coming out of the degree. I mean, it's still within the degree of the opposition with Pluto, but it's kind of like coming out of it. But Venus is now like moving into the exact opposition. And I believe this will take place on the 5th, straight away after she moves in, because it's literally just like a couple of minutes of her being in the sign of Leo. But during this full moon in Sagittarius, this is already active. This opposition between Venus and Pluto is already active, because Venus is on the 28 degrees. So Venus is still within the trine with the Neptune. So she understands something needs to be dissolved because it's no longer making us feel safe. And now she's in opposition with Pluto. This is still within the Virgo phase. So it's still like an internal thing, because Venus still is in a sign of Cancer, which is a yin energy. So she's not quite ready to act on it. But there is already this opposition where she's becoming very clear. Venus is becoming very clear, as she has been through going through the sign of Cancer, where she was really feeling into things. She was helping us to understand how we feel about all these aspects of Taurian aspects of our life. So like the material self-reliancy and the material having everything that we need, and are we being taken care of. And now she added the layer of the emotional, like, do we feel emotionally secure and all that. So she has a very good understanding by this 28 degrees where she's at during this full moon of what needs to be done in order for her to feel liberated, in order for her to feel self-actualized. So like, what do I need in order to be able to do what I came here to do, to follow my destiny? Because this is about our needs. This is about our relationship. Like, perhaps are the people in our environment, are they supporting us in this process of self-actualization? For example, is my partner seeing the potential in me? Yes or no. And even if these people that are around us don't see it, it's important for us to see it, because Leo is about self-validation. So we need to learn to self-validate ourselves. So not necessarily to wait for someone else to tell us that, oh yeah, you're good at this, you can go and do it, but actually say, I know I'm good at this, and I'm grateful for the gift, but I need to go out there and just do it. And then the people that are my people, like this Aquarius, my tribe, my community, they will resonate with what I have to say, and they will just naturally, connect or something. So anyway, so again, this will be a point of integration between Pluto in Aquarius and Venus. And Venus coming into Leo, she just wants to do what she loves. Because Leo in a traditional astrology is about everything that gives, makes us feel joyful and gives us a sense of fun. It's the fifth house. It's the house of hobby and restaurants and dates and, doing things because we love doing them. And from the evolutionary astrology, Leo is about creative self-actualization, self-validation. It's about showing up for who you are, show the world who you are. And now Venus understands. She knows what she needs on a material level. She knows what she needs on an emotional level. And now she's going into Leo. She's going to be there for 4 months because she's going to have the retrograde there. So Venus is going to spend in Leo longer time than any other sign this year. And she just wants to go after it now because she knows, she understands. And now she made this opposition to Pluto, which is in the same place that Saturn and Jupiter was during 2020, this big conjunction. So it's activating that point, this paradigm shift. So this is all part of everything, all this planet, as I say, keep reminding everyone in every single video, everything is connected. Like, there is this holistic picture of what's going on in the sky, and it's just adding one layer on the top of another, and the story is continuous. So there is nothing that just like started yesterday. Like, things are just adding up to help us to understand the greater picture. Just like I said in the video that I created yesterday about the energies of past week with the squares, where all these squares were just giving us a different angle of the same theme. So they were just trying to help us understand what is no longer working for us and what is creating this, sense of tension and crisis, because it needs adjusting from all these different areas of our life. But the bottom line, the ground, like the foundational information, the bottom line, literally, of this process is to understand what needs to be done in order for us to be able to live a more authentic life where we feel free and self-actualized, where we don't feel victimized by our circumstances, and where we just like don't give up on life in a sense. Because, and I mean, I've lived like that, just like everybody else, for a big chunk of my life, where I feel like I'm just living to die, because I'm just waking up in the morning to go to do a job I don't want to do, but I need to do it because I need to pay my bills. And then I come home and I'm too emotionally exhausted, because if we do something that is not in alignment with who we are, it takes our energy. So if you do something that makes you, that this is how you know what what are you here to do. Because if you're doing something that makes you feel joyful and gives you energy, then this is how you know this is the right thing for you, because it energizes you. It kind of like increases your life force, right? It increases the sun energy. But if we do something that we don't want to do, and then it's like just like a chore, right? I do this because I have no choice, right? I need to pay my bills, or I need to take care of my children or something. So then we sacrifice. And most of the time we sacrifice ourselves because it's like, well, it has to be done, right? Like we have no choice. And then you come home and you are exhausted because you feel like I have no energy to do anything. And that's because it takes so much energy to do things that are not in alignment with who we are and what we are here to do. And this is how we know. And all this that is happening in the sky right now, it's actually trying to help us to free ourselves from this prison. Because in a sense, slavery has never gone anywhere. It just changed the form, right? There is still like when I look at around myself at how majority of people live, it is not being free, right? So what is the opposite of that? Being enslaved by this matrix, by this paradigm. So that's why this paradigm shift is absolutely essential. And this is exactly what's happening right now. There's been seeding of this necessity for a paradigm shift, because the old paradigm shift is outdated. It just doesn't work, because it was supporting the previous generations. It was helping our ancestors maybe, but it's not working for us. We're living in a completely different times. What we had available to us today has not been available 30 years ago to our ancestors. They didn't have the options we have. But with all these options we have at the moment, all this technology and everything, it's giving us the opportunity to set ourselves free. Of course, it depends how we use it, because we can use it or it can use us, right? So that's why this discernment is important. And that's why we've had the North Node going through the sign of Taurus for a year and a half to help us know yourself, right? And also the Mercury was there for such a long time. It still is. And it had its retrograde there to again and help us understand. Uranus has been there since 2018 again to help us break the status quo, break the old paradigm, like wake us up from the complacency and being stuck in this well, it's not broken, why fix it, right? Like this, but it doesn't serve us anymore, because it's you know, when people are stuck in a comfort zone, in a sense, we are preventing evolution, and it's no longer possible because of, you know, of Pluto being in play now. Pluto in Aquarius, like, yeah, it's gonna go back into Capricorn for the rest of the year from June 11th, but that doesn't change anything, because it's gonna go back into Aquarius for 20 years from January next year, and it's ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is remaining into sign of Taurus until 2026. So we have like 3 more years pretty much to, like, you know, prepare, but this is the main year. This is the activation point where things are really starting to take on the momentum. Like, things are really starting to change for a lot of people. When I look around, people are sick and tired. They're fed up. Literally, it's getting to the point where it's just not bearable anymore. And people are seeking, they're really seeking new ways, they're seeking a new understanding of reality, they're open for expansion. And this is a perfect energy for this full moon in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, that just made a conjunction with North Node on the same degree Uranus was, squaring, conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, which was happening on the same place where Pluto is right now. This is not coincidence. And this is just telling us that the evolution time is here. The thing that we're seeding in 2020, now is the time. Now is the time to actually to make it happen, to start making it happen, to start liberating ourselves. So the energy is, you know, is ready. The energy is there. Like I said, you know, Jupiter expands everything it touches, and it will remain in Taurus until end of May next year, I believe. It's gonna be over a year in Taurus, and this is giving us the blessings in a sense, because in traditional astrology, Jupiter is like you know, the divine guidance, our angels, our spirit guides, and it's offering blessings. But it's up to us to ask for it. If we don't ask, then, you know, there is a free will arrangements going on there. So we cannot get help and support if we don't ask for it. So it's again about this giving and receiving, right? There always has to be a balance between the two. So anyway, guys, I feel I pretty much covered most of it. There, of course, will be... Oh yeah, and just to mention again that, well, Jupiter, apart from Mercury being in a closing phase with Uranus and making the conjunction the day after or the day of the full moon, depending on where you are in the world, Jupiter is actually, you know, in a balsamic phase, even though the conjunction will take place in April next year, April 2024, sorry. But Jupiter is in a closing phase with Uranus as well. So again, this is the dissolving, the closing the cycle on the old paradigm. So yeah, so this full moon is absolutely telling us that, you know, like now the sun is shining onto, the sun is lighting up all these 180 degrees that we've gone through the process, and now it's a process of integration and like putting it into action. Like, what did you learn in past 6 months? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about your values? What did you learn about your relationship? How your perception of the world and the reality we live in it, how did it shift? And how are you going to integrate this knowledge into your life from now onwards? So this is a perfect opportunity. The planets are really supporting us. They're really supporting us in this process. And as I said, the story continues. There is always another layer. And it's very interesting to me that this year, because of the double new moon in Aries, we having everything in reverse, because normally we have a new moon first in the month and then the full moon. but this, like from the double new moon in Aries, we are having the opposite. So we kind of like closing the cycle of the past first, and then we starting a new cycle. Whereas before it will be new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon. But now it's full moon, then new moon. So it's like, okay, so what did you learn from, you know, the past Sagittarius season? What did you learn there? And now, you know, like, what do you need to kind of integrate in order to start this new cycle, you know, this Gemini cycle, right? So anyway, so this is just like a side note. But I hope this helps, guys. I hope that it makes sense to you, and that you can relate to what I just described here. And I will be also collaborating with my friends as always, Makayla and Adrienne. We will be recording video together, so let's see what we can brainstorm together. And actually we're going to have another guest, so there'll be another evolutionary astrologer joining us for the debate. So stay tuned for that, and the video will be uploaded later on this week. So have a fantastic week, guys. Take care. I'll keep you posted as the time goes on, and I need to get ready for my airport now. So much love to everyone, and we speak soon. Bye.